what do you want to go straight to the email, Di?
Yeah, let's go. It was funny. I just want to just gloss over something.
Right.
Very bad week for women's wrestling.
Hmm.
Why?
Atrocious week for women's wrestling. Well,
Why?
because Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes Moné, got hurt.
Oh, she
Liv
did.
Morgan got hurt. Dakota
Right.
Kai got hurt, and I think
Right.
Dakota Kai and Liv Morgan got hurt on the same move that they gave one another or something like that. They're like
Really?
I think they both got hurt on the same move. They
Wow.
did,
That
and
doesn't happen
all of them,
many
and
times.
all of them. I've spoken on this show before that the problem with the girls is they get ahead of their skis. They do stuff beyond their physical capable level, and because they want to be like the guys and show that they're on par with the guys, but they do things that require high injury risk. So Sasha Banks was on the top rope getting ready to do I don't know what they said, a code red. I don't know what a code something. She slipped off the top rope, fell to the apron, and
You know what
tried
the
to.
code red is? They do that every show 5 times
Whatever
at
it was,
least.
that she broke
Well,
her
like you're
ankle.
going for the sunset flip and flip them over real quick.
Something
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
sunset flip
Yeah.
power bomb.
Right, off the top rope,
Yeah.
something from power bomb, and she slipped off the top
Right.
rope and fell, broke her ankle. Okay,
Wow.
and the rest of the match was a disaster because the girl gave her a
Oh,
power
she's trying to
bomb.
wrestle with a broken ankle?
Well, she tried to finish the match. The girl gave her a power bomb, a sit out power
Right.
bomb, and I guess Sasha was saying, like, it told her, "Let's go home and you go over." And the referee, this is the main event on the New Japan show, by the way. And the ref did the 1-2, and it wasn't the finish. And the ref
Right.
stopped counting, and she didn't kick out. She was out like a light, like she was knocked out. And they
Wow,
stopped.
sounds like
and
a
they turned
AAA
it
referee,
was
nothing.
atrocious, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
And then Liv and Dakota Kai, I guess Liv hurt her shoulder. Then Dakota Kai was doing this move, like they put Liv up for the whatever, like you're doing the move where the old Road Warriors finish.
Oh,
Where they
so
put the guy on the thing.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he
and
did a
then
clothesline.
give him the
electric-
clothesline.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, the
okay, she
electric
had her
chair.
up, she had her on the shoulders,
Yeah.
and then Dakota Kai came off with a double knee stomp onto
Oh, that
Liv Morgan.
Meta
And I guess
or
Liv
whatever it's
Morgan's shoulder was hurt,
Yeah.
so she was compensating. And Dakota Kai, when she came down, she got hurt because Liv was trying to protect
called.
herself.
Well, why
with her
wouldn't she
shoulders
tell her in the wrestling
No,
room, don't
that's-
do that to
that's
me
why I
because
said
my
this is-
shoulder's bad?
This was not a good week for women's wrestling.
Yeah.
All right, because
Yeah,
like
that sounds like it, yeah.
they got ahead of their skis. They tried stuff with high degree of difficulty, and 3 girls got hurt doing things that you weren't completely necessary because you don't have to.
And
do
you know
these
what's going to
things,
happen?
So,
And you know
yeah.
what's going to happen?
What?
All the other wrestlers are going to keep doing it because they're all
Right.
trying to get over. It
All
isn't
trying to
even
get
so
over.
much trying to keep up with the man, which might be part of it, but it's more like, hey, I'm here, I'm talented, I'm willing to do risky shit, which usually gets rewarded by the fans, putting you over. Oh, that was great. And, they're just trying to make it, bro, just like we did in our day. But you didn't have to do risky moves. You
No,
know
of
what I'm
course
saying? You got over with your gimmick and your work. But some people you feel they have to do risky, because, bro, let's face it, there's a lot more competition today than there was in our day.
way more.
Even though our day was more competitive, was very competitive. I don't know if it was more it was it was more competitive because I've been in enough dressing rooms to notice it. It was very competitive. But bro, there's so many people in the business today because you can get in very easily, and before
Right.
you couldn't. Yeah.
All right, let's get the mailbag because there's a couple interesting topics right
Let's
off the
hit it.
bat here. This one's not very interesting. Skyflame09, subject fights. Hey guys, from the podcast, it's clear that you and Conan are good friends. Have you two ever fought against other people in a club or bar, and who won? Thanks. No, it's never happened. Well,
I
you know
thought he
why?
was going to ask against each other. Yeah.
No, because let me explain something. When we used to go out, we would always, if somebody, like, we weren't old school wrestling, because like the club scene in the late 90s was like pretty cool. I had a
Very
lot of
cool.
hot chicks and clubs and stuff. But if there was ever any sign of trouble, we would always go to the security of the manager. This guy's giving us, because we don't want to. Bro, you don't want to fight in a bar. You never know how many friends these people have. You get sucker punch everything.
Or
We would always just
stabbed.
have security, just diffuse the situation, or take the guy out, and they would always side with us, like 100%.
Right, because
of the time.
we're
Right,
there
yeah.
to have the old school
Yeah.
wrestlers in Mexico, and I can imagine the United States. They actually went out to get into fights.
Right.
Okay, because I got that tail end of that when I went to Mexico. the very first place I went to, bro, and I think I've said this before, they were drinking before the match. They were drinking during the match, not during the match, but in the locker room after the match, and then they'd always end up in a after hours or they still had like back then like burlesque shows,
Right.
and they would end up in one of those.
Right.
And always, bro, what are you looking at? What do you want? What's your problem? And they'd start fights, just like UFC guys. When I'm around UFC guys before, they'll say, hey, man, if anything goes down, I'm ready to go. Like they wanted to get into a fight.
It's
We
crazy.
wanted to have a good time, bro. We just wanted to be with our boys, hook
Right.
up with some girls, and that was it. We weren't trying to be tough or act tough. So if
Right.
you came with that type of energy, you got booted out. But I do remember one time, and Glenn might have been there, bro. Remember that big fight that broke out in Club La Vila the last time we were there?
Hmm.
Were you there?
Do I remember that? God, maybe.
Maybe
I
you
might.
weren't there,
Yeah.
but
Right.
in bro, there was a fight there, and I remember Road Dogg was there, and he still worked for WWE, and I don't know if
Yeah.
he was maybe in between stints or
He
what.
was
I
Well, no,
think
that's his whole. That's where he lives around there.
well
that was
also
another thing. That was another thing. He told me that he lived close to there. What, Joe?
yeah.
Right.
Also
It's
he was
Pensacola.
it was the last WCW show and he was looking for a job. He was done with WWE, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so he was there, and bro, he got into a fight with some Puerto Ricans, and but that's my boy, and I don't know these Puerto Rican guys,
Mhm.
and I think they were like part of a gang, and a fight broke out, and some WCW wrestlers got in it, to help Road Dogg. I was in there, and there really were no winners. Everybody got tagged, and everybody
You were
tagged
siding with the
back
Puerto Ricans, weren't you?
at the beginning, and then at the end I went with Road Dogg, but everybody, but everybody got tagged. Everybody tagged somebody. Then security and the popo came in and controlled the situation. I.e., everybody ran. But that was the only one that I can remember. Now in Mexico is different. Mexico, there's a lot of fights in the arenas because there were no security, so you were your own security. And I was a Terminator back then. I loved to go. I even had guns pulled on me, and I was so stupid that I would say shoot, because in my stupid mind, I was like, bro, if you shoot me and you don't kill me, I'm gonna take that gun away and whoop your ass with it. But Mexico is very wild. Yeah, there were a lot of fights there.
All right. Next one's very interesting. We talked about this last week. This guy's question, but I want to bring it back up because it comes from a different angle. It's from Chris Anderson, and the subject is Jim Cornette's review of Roosh versus Jungle Boy. Greetings, guys, and thank you for providing your perspective on culture, wrestling, sports in general. It's great to listen to something that really gives a variety of content. Anyway, here's my question. It's a two-parter. Recently on his podcast, Jim Cornette went on a whole tirade about Roosh taking liberties with Jungle Boy in the recent match. Was he right in his outrage over what happened? And Conan, does this really happen a lot in Mexican promotions? Well, the clip is too long, and there's no reason to listen
16
to it.
minutes, yeah.
Right, but I spoke about this, and maybe the second question.
Did you listen to
Cody-
that clip, Joe, or Disco?
Oh, the
I
Cornette
listened
clip?
to some of it.
Yeah.
Parts of it, yeah. He just went. He just said Russia's taking liberties with him.
Yeah, he went
But we
against
spoke
Russia.
about. It's like, bro, this just looked like a guy. Like I asked you. Let's go over it again. So, how long you've known Roosh for a while? He's one of your top guys in Mexico, correct?
Right.
How long has he been wrestling?
Probably 15 years.
How many is he a second generation wrestler? Does he and he's his brothers and stuff?
second
Okay, all
generation.
right. So this was very clear to me. Being in the business, I'm surprised Cornette didn't really look at it this way. He looked at it as Roosh was taking advantage of Jungle Boy. My thing was like, dude, there's a lot of guys in this business. Like Fit Finley is a perfect example. The guy would eat you alive if you didn't fight back. And it's like this looked like Roosh is the type of guy that's a very vicious heel that gets his shit in, and you have to fight back to get your back.
Right.
And Jungle Boy was too green to understand this, like, bro, because you don't have a lot of this on American indies. Roosh is not an American indie wrestler, which is the culture from all these guys. We're all building a big happy family. We're giving back and forth to each other. This is a guy that like wrestles like old school Mexican style. That's from a generation of other wrestlers. Like you get your shit in, and if the guy doesn't fight back, it's like when the match is over. Yeah, I ate the guy alive. But it wasn't like I wasn't preventing him from fighting back. The guy just never fought back, or like tried to, or did it enough to where I'm going to start selling for him. Which is exactly what this match looked like. And I just want to ask Conan, because you've booked this guy repeatedly, was Roosh wrestling any different than the way you saw him wrestle in Mexico all those years.
Well, let me tell. No, he's not.
In that
But let me
match.
tell. No, he's not. But you're right. You know, if you don't protect yourself, what would happen with Juventud? He'd eat you up. What
Right,
would happen with
exactly,
LA Park? Even to this day, I've had people.
Yes.
I'm in the same dressing with LA Park and another guy, and he comes up to me, a very well-known guy. And he's like, "Hey, man, what do I need to know about Park? Because I know he'll take liberties on me." You know, I go, "Well, don't do this or this and this and this."
And fight
But they
back.
will. They will
They'll
eat
start
you up
selling
if
for
you
you
don't
if
fight
right, yeah.
back. Now, let me tell you, somebody sent me this clip because they were like, I want you to listen to this. And I thought it was a short clip, and it's 16 minutes. So I just listened to like the first 4 minutes, and that was enough for me, only because I don't have enough time to be listening to the whole clip.
Right.
Because I find Jim very interesting, and
Right.
he does
very,
know.
especially his takes
Yeah.
on the in-ring work. Right.
Right. So I like and respect Jim, you know, but I only heard like the 4 minutes. But yeah, Mexico is different because he said that, oh, there's no psychology in Mexico. You know how they do down there, bro. You're not well informed. Here's the thing: when you order a taco, you don't expect a hamburger. You don't make fun of the Japanese because they eat with chopsticks. When I first went there, I lost a pound of rice and meat just trying to keep the two sticks together. But I just learned how to use it, and I knew it was part of their culture. I wasn't like, hey, where the fuck are the forks? You know.
Right.
But let me tell you, Jim, we do have psychology in feuds. When it is in a feud, it's Mexican style. Now, because he also said something about, oh, the Mexicans, Penthouse and Felix, they what was it that he said? You know, they'd spend all their time around the ring and they're burying the refs. Well, very easy. You should announce the matches under Mexican rules and explain what they are, or tell the Mexicans that they can't hang around on the floor. You're not in Mexico like they did with us in WCW.
Right.
This is how we work here in WCW. It took me a year to learn it. I had to be deprogrammed. Bro, when I first went to WCW, they put a rocket up my ass. They actually wanted to do a match with Hogan in Mexico and then another one in US. And they put me in with one man gang and I won the US title. And they probably realized this guy can't work American style. So we're not going to push him. And one man gang was very uncooperative, you know.
Right.
But I will say this: Rush is probably thinking, you know, I'm going in there and I'm going to get over. I'm a star because Jim goes, oh, well, you know, he's not a star in the U.S. Well, he was in ROH, which isn't that big a deal, but to him it is because he went in there. They gave him the title immediately. They brought in his dad, who's a wrestler. They brought in his brother, Dragon Lee, who's incredible, who's now in WWE. Okay, but bro, he tried to eat up Danielson, and he kind of did, but Danielson at least fought back. Bro, Jungle Boy did nothing and liked it. But here's because Rush is the real deal, but he will follow the rules. Like in Mexico, he doesn't give me any problems.
I didn't
You know,
notice this
and
in the
but
Moxley match because Moxley
yeah,
gave it back because that's
right,
John Moxley's. John Moxley's a very offensive wrestler that likes to get
right,
in
right,
and eat
and
you
very
alive,
stiff.
which is why you
Right,
didn't even really notice. You just noticed that, like, wow, this Rush guy's his work is better than Moxley, but you didn't notice like this guy's eating Moxley alive like he's doing Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy's green and doesn't know what to do when a guy's eating you
right.
alive. You know, so
Right.
it's like,
And here's
that's exactly what
here's
happened. Yeah.
here's two things that Jim said that I agree with him. He said if you would have done that back in the day, you would have had a fight with the guy in the ring or the locker room, which is
Mm-hmm.
true. And the other thing is he said I can't believe no agent or producer told Rush not to do that, or when he got back to the dressing room. That's where I agree with him. An agent or producer should have said, "Hey, we're taking." Rush should be watching the show and know it anyways. But the agent or producer should be telling him, "Hey, we're taking care of this guy. We're getting him ready for a title
Main
match."
event.
Which, if
Yeah.
they were even thinking of giving it to him or giving any credibility for him going into that match, that's out the window now. But I would hope that when he came back, some agent or even veteran, because as a veteran, that's your job to smarten the guys up and go, bro, the guy's getting ready for a world title match. You can't eat him up like that, even if he doesn't defend himself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it is what it is. He went in there to get over, and Jungle Boy did nothing. And so he got ate up. Bro, he literally threw the guy off the apron, Joe, like you throw
Like a
fish
belly
at
to
the
belly.
fish market.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah. I was
Totally
like,
Hey,
bumped, too.
go ahead. Hey, Joe, go ahead and send Josh a link. Do you have his? You got his contact info, right?
Yeah, let me make sure it's the right one.
Hang on, let me get this. All right. Yeah, but ultimately, what this is I think the reason that to me this was fascinating because I didn't really like I had to go back and watch some of this again because when I saw the outrage, all right. But I was just looking at this because, dude, like Rush's offense just looks way better than 95% of the rosters today because he brings it.
Right.
Which is why
Right.
I think this great. It's like you remember that, bro. Every time I see this guy work, it's like he looks like more vicious than like any other guy on that show on the
Right.
AEW roster because they kind
100%.
of work light and stuff.
100%. And
And
he's probably
that
wondering why am I getting pushed? You know, I was champion in
like,
Mexico.
and
They treated me good in AAA, bro. In AAA, he was undefeated.
he's literally getting punished because his work
Yeah.
looks too good.
Yeah.
So it's like I mean, if
Well,
you want to
not
call
so
a spade a
much
spade,
punished for his
right,
work looking so good, but more of like he ate a what they
right.
consider a
No,
top guy
he's
over.
getting vilified online by people that thought by guys like Jim
Right.
Cornette, and I think
Right.
Jim's not realized like, dude, yeah, he ate the guy alive because his work looks 100%. His offense looks way better than Jungle Boy's, which is why this looked like he was eating
Yep.
the guy alive. You know, so it's
No
like,
lies
I
there.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
no lies. All
Yeah.
right, next one's
And
from
bro,
John.
and here's the thing, bro. If you've ever met Jungle Boy, he's just a meek,
Right, laid
low
back, yeah, but it's
key,
like,
right?
right,
He's very cool kid. He's like very cool kid. I will say that. You know, it's
right,
almost like a kid going up against a man. You
right.
know,
And then let me give this little sidebar here. This is kind of interesting. So when I first started in WCW, I had a match against uh, Frankie
Lancaster.
Frankie the Thumper Lancaster, right? And he was like an old school guy, and he was just a jobber and everything and all that, you know. But we went in there, and he kind of started trying to eat me up a little bit.
right?
And like I was going over, and it's like after this is my first time this has happened WCW, maybe like my fourth or fifth match. And I was like, we went over the match, but then we got in the ring, and it was like he was kind of bringing more than I thought he was gonna. Usually like you land a six in the match, just talk about
Yeah.
everything first, and go out and do it. And he was like bringing more. And I learned very quickly. Okay, it's like I'm
Right.
not used to wrestling guys that like are getting their out there and like,
Yeah.
what do I do in this situation? It was a very simple learning experience. I didn't have anything against the guy, but like afterwards, I said in the match, I was like, "Hey, you kind of brought more than I thought I was expecting out there," and I told him that. And he was like,
Yeah.
"Well, dude, that's how I work." He's like said it. I'm like, "Okay, lesson taken here."
Right.
So after
Right.
that, I'm like, and I had another time when I wrestled Bret Hart, and he ate me alive too. But it was like we had just tons of time that they gave. It's like a 21-minute match, and I was just like, I didn't really know what to do because like we didn't
Yeah.
call a lot in the back. He was doing it, and like he really wasn't leading me along. He was just like offense, and then I would fight back every night. But it's like it was just I don't know. It's just like you learn from experience, and I think Jungle Boy learned a very valuable lesson in that match against Rouge. It's like, dude, it's up to you not to get eaten alive. There nobody else
Right.
is out there besides the two you and the other guy. And if the other guy is getting his
They should have told
right,
they should have told Rush because they already know his
right,
style. They've already seen him. It ain't like he ain't been there before.
right.
Hey, take care of this guy.
Sell
But they
for this
didn't.
he's
So
so
they
big for this guy. Right.
now if
Yeah.
they did, I doubt very highly because I know his name is Williams, not plural by the way, and so I would doubt that Williams if they would have told him, hey, don't eat this guy up, he would have done it. You
Right.
know, so nobody
Right.
told him. That's on the agent,
Right. He
bro.
just went did what
Sorry.
he did. He does.
Right. Right.
Yeah.